Welcome to Buckets from the Tommy John Home Studios. I'm Joe Dellera, filling in for Matt Moore, and on today's episode, I'm joined by Jay Money to look at the Thursday, January 2nd NBA slate. Jay, what's going on, man?
Everything going good with me, man. I'm glad to be in January. I'm ready to get some cash, man. My first time being on a show with you as hosting as well, man. So hopefully we get some somewhat of beginner's luck here with the show. Ready to get some cash for the people.
No, it's going to be fun. I've been on your show. You're a great host, so now we get to kind of flip-flop a little bit here on Buckets, but this is going to be fun. So, all right, let's just dive right into these best bets. Jay, what do you like for the Thursday slate?
Give me the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'll be howling with the Wolves here. Timberwolves plus 3.5.
All right, I love it. And you guys know I'm always coming to you with a player prop, and I like Austin Reeves over 9.5 rebounds plus assists. It's a little juicy right now, minus 140, but if this bumps to 10.5, I'm okay with that too. I love this new role without D'Lo. So, Jay, let's talk about the game first. The Wolves versus the Celtics, because this is a pretty big game. This is a pretty big rivalry. You know, Ant always wants to get up for these games. What do you think about this? What kind of drew you to Minnesota with the points here?
Well, first off, the Celtics have been absolutely burning money this year. They're 12-20 against the spread. You can look at their straight up record, 23-9, doesn't matter. They are not covering spreads. Check this as well. They have not covered back-to-back spreads since their first two games of the season, guys. For whatever reason, it's super crazy, man. Usually they are laying a much bigger number. You look at the Wolves, they're 4-0 against the spread in their last four versus the Boston Celtics. Now, it's always tough fading the Celtics, the way that their three-point variance is in today's NBA games. The Celtics are definitely one of the best three-point shooting teams. They may not be at full health here, but I don't really care. Everyone could play. I like the Wolves to step up in this one. They played a really great game versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. The turnovers just absolutely killed them in that game. They end up losing that game by 8 after being up by double digits by 12 points in that game. So, but right before that, they were starting to figure things out, had won 3 straight games. I still think that the Wolves have that ceiling to potentially get back to the Western Conference Finals or even possibly the NBA Finals as well, man. So not a huge fan of Julius Randle, but I still feel like there's certain spots that he chooses to play. Hopefully it's here, but we know Ant, the rest of the guys, they're going to be turned up for this one. I like the Wolves to possibly pull the outright upset in this particular game. And like I say, last year, there was a spot where I took the Wolves in the same type of situation. They were getting 3 points. Mind you, this is the year that the Celtics were damn near untouchable. Won the championship. They were out for blood versus everybody. Guess what? They lost November 6, 2023 as 3-point favorites in Minnesota in overtime, 114-109. Timberwolves were able to get them. The next couple of games, the Wolves showed that they could hang with the Celtics, 127-120, covered the 10-point spread in that one. And then their last game, their game this season, November 24th, Wolves almost beat the Celtics outright in Boston as 8-point underdogs, 107-105. I think they get the job done this time around in Minnesota. So I will take the points with the Wolves. I was raised by Wolves.
I love it. I'm with you on this. I like the Wolves as well. And like you mentioned, the Celtics are kind of dealing with a couple injuries. The Minnesota Timberwolves injury report's pretty clean right now. They got Dillingham on there, Luka Garza, but not guys that are playing big minutes. For the Celtics, Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis are both questionable, and it's the front end of a back-to-back for them. They play the Houston Rockets on Friday. So I think that if you get in on this number now, like you're saying, you like it regardless at plus 3.5, and you even think they could win outright. But the chances that one or both of those guys, Jaylen Brown and Porzingis, are ruled out, this spread probably moves to maybe the Boston's only like a 1-point favorite or something like that if they're both out. So they usually seem to be hedging with these 3.5s when they got multiple guys on the injury report. So I definitely think that it's a spot to look at. So I like that look from you on the Minnesota Timberwolves as well. And I remember I was watching the starting 5 on Netflix, right? And I was watching, they had Ant and Tatum were two of the guys that were being followed for last year's season. And I thought it was so interesting because Ant clearly wanted to get up for those games. And when Ant drives, gets to the rack, he's able to generate a little bit more contact. I think it's definitely a good spot. I was kind of looking at a points prop for him in this game, just from a little bit of a motivational perspective. And also, if Porzingis is out, you have a little bit less rim deterrence there for Ant if he wants to drive to the rack. But I was looking at, so then I'm going to look at the Los Angeles Lakers game here against the Portland Trailblazers. Blazers are obviously bad this season. They play at a moderate pace, but they have one of the worst defenses in the league, and they are one of the worst teams in the league at the 28th adjusted net rating. The Lakers haven't really been that good either this year. They're 21st in adjusted net, but they just had this trade with D'Angelo Russell to the Nets for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. One of the biggest things with D'Angelo Russell being moved and removed from this rotation is that they really need a lot more creation from some of the other guys, whether it's Austin Reeves or LeBron James, or, even a little bit from maybe some Shake Milton, or maybe a little bit more Gabe Vincent, whatever. But Austin Reeves has really been the dude that stepped up so far. And over his last 3 games, he's absolutely crushing this 9.5 rebounds plus assist line. He's got 20, 22, and 19 in his last 3 games for the Lakers. And he's got a triple-double, and he's got double-doubles in all of them. And he missed one triple-double. He had 35, 9, and 10. So he's been absolutely cooking for the Lakers, and he's getting this huge, huge bump in usage. And this aligns with some of the full season numbers as well, because in terms of assists per 100 possessions without D'Angelo Russell this season, he was one of the players that saw a pretty significant bump between this year and last year. He's averaging about 3 more assists per 100 possessions when he was playing without D'Lo versus with D'Lo. So couple that with the fact that the Lakers are just down creators. LeBron's not playing that role anymore where he's as ball dominant, and that really opens up the assists for him. So when you look at the last couple of games and the fact that this is a really pretty soft matchup against the Portland Trailblazers, I like him to go over the 9.5 rebounds plus assists in this spot. I do think that this is an opportunity for him to really get out ahead and continue to put his stamp on the game for the Lakers in this expanded role. And they can try to figure out, like, hey, we're going to give you this opportunity. Maybe that changes who else we need to go after at the trade deadline if you were really showing us that you can handle all this additional usage, which is great for Reeves as for his career. And it would also be great for the Lakers. So I like the over 9.5 rebounds and assists, and 10.5 is okay too. I just think this number is a little bit too low given his recent form.
That makes a ton of sense, man. I don't really bet a lot of props, but makes perfect sense, especially with the numbers that you spat out there the last 3 as well. I mean, sounds like he's sailed over this as well, man. So, the Blazers, they're a bottom tier team. You never know what you're trying to get from them. It's not going to be a ton of defense, though. So, Lakers in the bounce back spot, they're favored by 9 here. Definitely expect Reeves, who played basically 43 minutes the last game. Like you said, the usage is there, man. So there's really no excuse for him not to get it here. Wouldn't be surprised if he went for a triple-double. Looks like, so at last game he had 16 assists versus the Lakers, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. Look, man, Reeves been low-key going crazy, man. So 9.5, you said assist and rebounds, right?
Yeah.
He might get that on assists alone.
That's what I'm saying. I just think it's too low. So like you could play a little bit of double-doubles at, but there's like a 7-1 at 365. I think there's a 10-1 or a 6-1 rather at DraftKings right now. And even if you look at it too, you can kind of split this up a little bit, because if you said, well, I don't know if he's going to get to 10, but maybe you could say, hey, what about like 5-7 or 7-7 or 8-8? So there's definitely some opportunities here to kind of play around with those stats. He's just been crushing really on both. And one of the advantages of Reeves getting those rebounds is it's helping the Lakers get out in transition a little bit, because he's able to immediately push, and it doesn't have to be LeBron pushing the ball. So LeBron can do a little bit more off ball. He can cut, he can roll, he can screen, whatever. And that's probably a good thing for him at this stage of his career, where he's trying to, I think, take on a little bit less of a load, so he's a little bit more ready for the playoffs, or at least as long as they can get to the playoffs, right?
No, that makes perfect sense, man. Like you said, when you have a guy that can rebound but also push the ball to the floor, that's exactly what you want, because you don't have to have an extra guy waiting around like, hey, give me the ball, and then you're kind of a little slower to get into your pace there. So we know LeBron getting a little bit up there in age, probably a little less going for things like blocks and rebounds, and just kind of, just going for the points and assists, something that's a little less on your body there. Rebounding, I know when I'm playing basketball, that's usually like when I'm getting when I'm getting like injuries or getting banged up. Playing really hard defense and going for those boards in traffic, man. That's when you never know you're taking an elbow or anything like that. So makes a ton of sense. I mean, it sounds like he's been getting it done. Like you said, the usage rate has been there. He's hitting it 3-0 the last couple times, the last 3 games as well. So sounds like he's in his groove right now, and the book's probably a little slow to catch up to this number. I guarantee if he catches it here next game, it'll be like 11.5 rebounds, assists. I guarantee. But it sounds like we're getting to the window at this one. I'll probably end up riding with you here, my brother.
All right, we love it. And as you guys mentioned, or we mentioned, right, at the top of the show, we're coming to you from our Tommy John home studios. And that's because great games start with great underwear. And Tommy John obviously makes the greatest. So, I've got the sweatpants. I got the t-shirts. I love, honestly, I got the sleep set. So it was all green for me. It was perfect because obviously we're cashing, but it was also perfect for Christmas. I was wearing it Christmas morning. I was comfy all day watching the NBA, watching hoops. And, it looked acceptable because it was a set. So I didn't look like a schlep. I wasn't just rolling out of bed wearing whatever. I looked put together for Christmas morning, and it was nice. So the family pictures were good, what have you. And it was super, super comfortable. So I loved it. And Jay, I know you've got your set. I think as long as you're more comfortable, it makes a lot of things better, including your betting and including your capping, right? So if you love the Buckets podcast, if you love this crew, you're going to love Tommy John, and get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. That's 25% off at TommyJohn.com/buckets. And since we're talking about Tommy John, I think it's time to get to the Tommy John Ballsy parlay of the day. And Jay, what do you want to do for your leg for the parlay?
For my parlay, for my leg of the parlay, I'm going to go with my best bet. I'm going to go with the Timberwolves plus 3.5. If you want to get a little risky with it and get a little, obviously, if I'm taking them on the plus 3.5, I think that they have a really great shot to win outright. So if you want to get, you get a little funky with it and take the money line, I'm not going to talk you off. But me personally, I'm going to take the points as insurance plus 3.5. We're howling with the Wolves here.
I like it. You get that extra. It's more than one possession, so we get in a little bit more of an opportunity there to cash with in this game. But for me, I'm going to take my Austin Reeves prop, but I'm going to split it up a little bit for you. So I'm going to do Austin Reeves 5+ rebounds, and I'm going to do Austin Reeves 7+ assists. So we're going to have a 3-leg parlay here. It's going to be Reeves 5+ boards, Reeves 7+ assists, and the Minnesota Timberwolves plus 3.5. And right now, you can get that at a nice juicy plus 950 for that parlay. It's 3 legs plus 950, and that is going to be our Tommy John Ballsy parlay of the day. Jay, before I get you out of here, it's obviously the first episode of Buckets for the new year. I know that you and Sean had a great conversation on the last episode of 2024, right? But do you have any New Year's resolutions as a bettor for the listeners here that they can kind of take with them for the rest of the year?
My New Year's resolution is never to bet, make a bet that I'm going to regret. That's my whole thing right there. That's a saying that I have. This is something that I always live by, but this year for sure, before I place a bet, put my actual money on it. I always want to think through all right, if this play, because nothing is guaranteed, right? Nothing there's no play that we're going to make that's 100% guaranteed or like we've been to the future. So I always never want to regret a bet. Like we bet some bad teams or bet a player that we don't necessarily like or screwed us over in the past, and afterwards we lost. Like, man, I knew I shouldn't have been messing around with this guy, man. So that's one thing for me is that I like after I make a bet, or really even after it's all said and done, I don't want to regret it. I want to make sure that it's a bet that I would live and die with, and that I really feel like was going to win. If it doesn't, it is what it is. On to the next play. So never make a bet that you feel like you might regret.
Oh, I love that. I think that's super
I had a
important.
trademark. I had to trademark that too. No one steal it out there. I'm putting that on a shirt. I'm gonna have to trademark that.
Hey, I got a t-shirt press at the house. We'll make it. So
Okay.
we'll get it done. But I love that because I do think that a lot of times we got that band. A lot of people have a banned list and they're just like, I can't bet on this guy. I don't care what you're saying. There's just no chance. So that's a lot of it too, is just you don't need to bet on everything. It's okay. Like, it's okay if you miss a play. It's not the end of the world. There's so many different plays, so many days to make plays. And I think that's a great piece of advice for the bettors here. And for me, my resolution is I think I want to try to stop having, unless there's an injury that I know I want to try to capitalize on and I was waiting for a line or something all day, I want to stop having late ads during the day. I think that I do my
Mhm.
best work like in the morning when I take a look at the slate and I say, these are the things or these are the spots that I want, or, maybe the night before, whatever it is, where I'm looking at the slate and I say, these are the angles that I like. If I only have two angles, it's okay. I only have two angles. Like I don't, like I said, I don't
Mhm.
need to have five. I don't need to have 10. It just is whatever pops to me earlier in the day or while I'm doing my main set of research. I think I like to try to stick to that a little bit more rather than saying, like there's a 10 o'clock game on right now. I don't have anything. Uh, Let me look and see if I can find something. So I do think it kind of ties into what you were saying. You just don't have to. It's okay to let
Mhm.
one go. And maybe you have that note in your head and say, I was looking at this, and I'm just going to watch it play out, because maybe if it does hit, you do learn something from the fact that you sat it out. It's okay, but maybe you can take
Exactly.
it to the next game with you, or in regards to that player or that team.
Yeah, that's a fact. And I always say too, a bet that you don't make is always a win as well. So sometimes it's good. I know when I'm doing bad, I'll kind of make picks or whatever, and not necessarily put money on it, but just kind of make picks. So I'm still like in tuned in what's going on, but I won't put money on it just so I can see. I mean, if it wins, all right, cool. We're starting to get back on the right track. But like a bet that you didn't make is like it's always a win, right? It's always 100% guaranteed to keep your money in your pocket when a bet that you didn't make, man. So definitely great. We're giving guys like great advice here for the future, not just for today or tomorrow, but for the future, for literally the rest of your betting life there. So I'm liking where this is going.
Yeah, so beyond just the year, but for today, just to recap before we get you out of here, our best bets are Jay is on the Minnesota Timberwolves plus 3.5. Doesn't mind the money line either, and I like Austin Reeves over 9.5 rebounds plus assists. 10.5, I'm also okay there. And for our ballsy parlay, we've got the Minnesota Timberwolves plus 3.5, Austin Reeves 5 boards, and Austin Reeves 7 assists at plus 950. So we're gonna get you out of here. Thank you for listening to Jay and I and our best bets for the Thursday, January 2nd NBA slate. Let's get buckets.